Hi there, I'm Jen, and this is part 2 in my series of how to collect stamps when you're visiting Japan. If you want to see my first video on how to collect train station stamps, please do go and watch it after this one. In this video I'm going to be talking about how I collected goshuin, which are the shrine and temple sort of red seal stamps that you might hear about. And I'm going to do a flip through of all of the ones that I collected, as well as talking about how to collect them and how I planned ahead for my trip. So a goshuin is a type of stamp that you can collect when you're visiting a shrine or a temple in Japan. You collect them in a special book called a goshuin-cho, which is this that I have here. It's a book that has sort of a concertina washi paper layout, so it's all linked together. And you can buy these at the shrines, that's the back, and also in bookstores. Because I didn't know which shrine I was going to be visiting first, I wanted to go to a bookstore or a department store to buy my goshuin-cho in advance, because at shrines and temples they'll usually have maybe one style of goshuin-cho. That's what the goshuin book is called. And I wanted to have a little bit more choice. So my friend and I, we went to Loft to choose our goshuin-cho. However, we were a bit spoilt for choice, and it was really difficult to decide on what sort of cover to get, but I ended up choosing this cover, which is really lovely, and the brand is, oh, it's very hard to focus on, Shogado. So it's this beautiful gilded cover. So the difference between goshuin and the eki-stampu is that train station stamps and store stamps can be stamped onto any piece of paper that you like. I have seen people put them into a goshuin, like only stamping eki-stamp into a goshuin-cho. I don't think it looks that good, and also the paper is made for calligraphy, so it's just a different kind of paper. If you are collecting goshuin inside a goshuin-cho, you should only collect that in this book. You should not mix it with eki-stampu. I know some people say that it's fine, but you don't want to give it over to a monk or a priest and have them not be happy that you've mixed the stamps in the book, and they might say no to putting a stamp in your book and you might have to buy a new book. That some people do say online that you shouldn't mix shrine and temple stamps, but I had no issues mixing them in the same book. Some people do like to keep them in separate books, just for their own reasons, but I collected them all in the same book. Now, as you'll see during the flip through, and I will explain how I got each goshuin, some of them are written directly into the book, so they have stamped directly onto the paper here, or as a little sneak preview. You can collect ones which they give to you in a paper sleeve usually, which you stick into your book later. So that's the sort of two ways you can get it. If it's a really popular shrine or temple, they will often only offer you the paper pre-written goshuin, because they just don't have time to write all of the books for people on the spot. So one thing I would recommend if you are collecting goshuin and you receive the loose leaf paper is that you have a type of glue tape. This one is from Glue and I just got it in, I think, Loft. And so I would put the glue tape on the back of the paper goshuin that they'd given me, and I prefer a glue tape because it means that you don't have a wet glue rippling the paper and making it all bumpy. So the glue tape is a really, really good thing to have. So let's have a flip through and have a look at all of the goshuin that I collected on my 9-day trip to Japan. As with my eki-stamp collection, my goshuin book is out of order because the first goshuin I collected was a paper, separate goshuin, and I didn't have any glue, I didn't have any glue tape. And so on our second day when we went to Mount Fuji, so this is a handwritten goshuin from the shrine that is on Mount Fuji's 5th station. It also, when you receive a goshuin, they will often have a piece of paper, they'll insert a piece of paper to protect the other page from any wet ink or any from the calligraphy ink or the stamp ink. So this is sort of a very epic Mount Fuji shrine paper that they used to sort of blot the ink on that first goshuin. And then the second one I got on the Mount Fuji trip is we went to visit the Arakura Fuji Sengen Shrine, and they only had pre-written goshuin, so I had to choose one, and I chose this cutout. I also decided not to stick down this very intricate paper cutout page because I really like seeing the shadows. Maybe in the future I will stick it down, but it's just so beautiful. And it was winter, obviously, so this was their winter version, and they had a few different options that you could choose from. And again, you will get that either with the handwritten ones or the pre-written ones. They may have different options for you to choose from, and there will just be pictures of them. So if there's any sort of text to translate, you could use Google Translate or any sort of camera translating app to read them. So the first goshuin I actually got was this one. You can see it's paper and I've stuck it in there, and this was from Gotokuji Temple, which is the temple with all of the little waving cats. This is actually one that I got on at the Mount Fuji Shrine because there were no cats available. They had a big sign up saying there's no cats left, but I got the goshuin, and these were all pre-written because it's a very popular temple. And then this one on the other side was handwritten in. This one is from the Kiyomizu Kanendo Temple, and this is a temple that is within Ueno Park. They had a little office to the left of the temple where you pray. The location of the goshuin office is always different, so if you just wander around you'll probably find it. There's usually a window, a glass window, and they'll have pictures up of the goshuin. It's also where they sell the other amulets and things. So this one as well was in Ueno Park. This one is from the Shinobazu Noike Bentendo. They had two options and I chose this one. There was a special festival happening or about to happen, and there was a standard goshuin and one just for the festival, and I can't remember which one I got, but I really love this one. The calligraphy is just, I love like a big fat, splodge of ink on this one. And then another shrine that we visited within Ueno Park, I got this pre-written one, which is like very shiny and was a bit more expensive. So goshuin can be anywhere between sort of 500 to 1,000 yen, and I think this one was 1,000 yen or possibly more, because it was like their super special shrine goshuin. So this is the Ueno Toshogu shrine, and the actual shrine itself has gold leaf on the building, so it's a glistening shrine. And this one also came with a little folder. It came inside this folder here, so it was all very nicely presented. And I think this has got some information about the shrine on the back, and they even have like their own website on there. So moving on to this one, this is from a shrine in Yokohama. It's the Iseyama Kotai Jingu, and they have a Sakura style stamp, and I also got this very good fortune, which was really lovely to be able to keep. And this shrine is near the Sakuragicho station, and that's the station we went to so that we could go over to the Cup Noodle Museum and be around that sort of port area. So I really recommend hiking up the hill to get this one. Now, this is a stamp that I could not miss getting. This one is from the Hoshuin Temple. I follow this temple on Instagram, and they do post what their special goshuin are. They have a lot of different ones for different holidays, and they also have a different one each month. That's their website, and yeah, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's very rare, I think, for a temple or a shrine to have so much social media presence, but they do the most beautiful goshuin. And so this is stamped and handwritten directly into the book, which I think is quite special. So I chose obviously to get the one for December, and then you could choose a different sort of wish or blessing. And this was a quick like Google Translate moment. She was like, which one do you want? And I was like, I think there were 5. So I quickly chose one, and I cannot remember what it means. So if you can read this calligraphy, please let me know. What was my blessing for? And Goshuin is a very small, very modern temple, and it's just behind Zozoji Temple, which a lot of people go to visit near Tokyo Tower, and that's where I got this goshuin. And as I mentioned in my Eki Stampu video, they did have another stamp that you could get just in any old book or piece of paper, but you do not put this stamp into your goshuin-cho. Just remember that. But we could get that stamp while we were waiting for them to handwrite this one. And just to reiterate the importance of like the little sheets of paper that they put inside the books, this is the sheet of paper that they put inside for this goshuin, and you can see that it really did need it because there's quite a lot of ink that transferred to that little piece of paper. On this side, this is from Sensoji Temple, very, very busy temple, and there's the main temple building, and there's signs up that literally just say Goshuin. You have to, if you're looking at the main temple, if you go around to the left side, there's like a lovely little waterfall and a bridge and another building there, and it's another temple that you can pray at, but they have like a whole line with where you can get your goshuin written. You can choose a pre-written one if you want, and then there were a couple of options to choose for a handwritten one, and they gave you like a number because they like insert it into your book, and then they take it and someone will fill it in for you. They call out the number, and I was really worried that I wouldn't know what the number would be. I'm quite good with Japanese numbers, but as I said, like when I'm there, I get a bit nervous about speaking Japanese or listening out for it. And I think if they had no response to the Japanese number being called, because it is so touristy, they would just call it out in English. So don't worry too much about missing your number. Right around the corner from Sensoji Temple is the Hikaninari Jinja and Asakusa Shrine. So there's a shrine with these little foxes, and there's one goshuin office for both of those shrines, so you could choose which goshuin you want to collect. And I will say I only collected one goshuin at each shrine, but you can actually say I want the normal one, I want the special one, and you can get multiple. You just have to pay for them. So this one I really love because look how neat her writing is. It's just like, I really love the messy ones because they're like big globs of ink, but this one is just so precise and beautiful. So I really appreciate the craft of Japanese calligraphy, and so that's one of the reasons why I really love collecting goshuin. Is this is just, to me, it's very, very special and a great sort of memento of the trip, because I can sort of remember where I went by which goshuin I got. So this one here is from the Meiji Jingu shrine. Again, another very busy shrine, and they actually had like a whole separate building again for the goshuin. There was like a very orderly queuing system by the east entrance to the shrine complex, and you could either go in and not queue up, you could get the goshuin on a piece of paper, or if you did queue up, there were 3 women writing out the goshuin, and I was surprised because the tables were completely out in the open, so when you pass them your book like this, she's sitting there writing it in front of me, and usually they like take it away to a back room to write it. So I just felt like, and in that moment it was just like so special to be able to watch them write out the goshuin. And it was interesting because as I stood in the queue, I noticed that one woman would stamp first, the red ink stamps, and then write over them. Some of them will write first and then stamp on top of it. So there's no one way to write a goshuin, but it's just really fascinating to watch. And just to say, you should not take photos or video when if you see them writing the goshuin. It's just out of respect. It's meant to be sort of a pilgrimage. It is a religious thing, and it's just, you know, you should be there in the moment rather than, you know, taking a picture for your social media or something. So this brings us to my last stamp, which is one of the messy ones, which I really, really love. This is from the Misaki Inari shrine. I really wanted to visit a shrine by our hotel in Suidobashi, just to sort of say thank you to the area for our safe stay, because we were staying nearby. And when I got there, it's in quite a residential part. It's right next to a huge apartment block, and there's this tiny little shrine, and there's like a car parked like just behind the shrine, and there's no one else there. And I walk in, I pay my respects, and then I look to where there's a window, and there's a doorbell which is sort of away from the window, and it's near a door, and there's no sign. And I looked and like Google translated things, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be brave because I was there on my own. I'm just gonna press the doorbell and hope that someone comes. And I waited by the window, and eventually a man lifted the blind, and I, you know, gestured with my goshuin book and said, like, you know, said, could I have a goshuin, please? And he wrote this, and I really love this one because it's really rough. There's actually, like, if I put my finger over the ink, there's like lots of bits of debris in it. So maybe it was a bit dried out, but you can see like how the ink sort of carried over from his brush strokes, and it's really rough. And so compared to like ones that are a bit more, you know, defined, I really love the difference between the goshuin, and I like that this one's a bit messy. So that was a really nice one to finish off my trip with. So I collected 13 goshuin total on my trip, and I'm really happy with the ones that I got. And in advance of my trip, just like with my eki stamp collecting, I looked to see if there was any information online, and I found that there's a website called omairi.club. It's completely in Japanese. Again, Google Translate is your friend, where I found some information about the shrines and the temples, and it's sort of like a social media for collecting these sorts of stamps. So people will share photos of the goshuin that they have collected recently, so you can get an idea of what is available. They'll also show photos of the goshuin-cho, the books that they bought from certain shrines and temples, so you can see in advance. Like, I knew that my first temple was going to be Gotokuji Temple. I looked on the website at what the books were available, and I thought I didn't really like them, so that's why I got my book from Loft. You can also look on a website like Loft, and I'll put the Japanese characters in the description for goshuin-cho, because then you can copy them, and if you paste them into the search bar of a website like Loft on their online shop, you can see what they might have available if you're very fussy about what your goshuin-cho looks like. So what would I do differently next time? I'll do the same. I would absolutely research it the same way. I've already found some shrines and temples that I missed out on last time that I would love to visit. Because this book, you can see, has lots and lots of pages, I will just continue to use this book, and when you do finish this side, you simply turn it over. Oh, here's some extra pieces of paper. You turn it over and you keep going. So as with Japanese books, you always turn this way to the left rather than to the right, as you would with an English or a Western book. So I wouldn't revisit all of the shrines that I've already visited or temples. One I would absolutely revisit is Hoshuin, just because they do a different monthly stamp every year. It's different, and I'm actually going back this December, so I will get the 2024 December stamp. Also, next time I found out about the 10 Jinja of Tokyo, and these are shrines that were declared imperial shrines or quasi-imperial shrines by Emperor Meiji. So there's 10 shrines that you can visit, and there is a special goshuin book that has like a wooden cover, and it has space for the goshuin that you collect, and then it has information printed on it about that shrine. I think it's an incredible challenge because they're not all very close together, but if you can't tell, I love to collect things and I love to have a complete collection. So I think that would be a really nice thing to do if I have time when I visit next. And yeah, I would just really love to keep collecting really interesting and different kind of goshuin to commemorate my journey in Japan. So I'll leave links to the website that I use to get information about, and also some text that you can copy if you're looking for a goshuin-cho on a website like Loft. And yeah, let me know in the comments which one of my goshuin stamps was your favourite. My favourite, of course, is the one from Goshuin because it's just so beautiful. It's literally a work of art. And yeah, let me know if you've collected goshuin on your trips, or if you live in Japan and you collect goshuin. It would be really lovely to hear how you collect them and where your favourite goshuin are from. And again, if you want to know more about collecting the train station stamps, please check out my other video. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!